Hey, what's up, guys? You're watching AFTERBUZZ TV Spotlight On with Mike Stud. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Fuck it.
What's up, everybody? That's a good intro.
Wait, do we swear?
Yeah, you can swear on the internet.
I'm gonna swear
Check with the publicist because we don't.
Megan, I'm swearing all over this fucking podcast.
It's alright. It's good. What's up, everybody? This is AFTERBUZZ TV Spotlight On with Mike Stud.
Hey,
this
what's
is a
up,
new
man?
single.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, man. I'm excited. These cool studios, man. You guys, like, I feel like we've been doing a lot of press.
Yeah.
This one might take the cake.
Oh,
man.
really?
It's nice and in the cut. It's very unassuming. I like it.
You feel like probably people watching haven't been to the studio, obviously,
Yeah.
but it feels a little bit like you're gonna make a porn, and then you walk in and it's
Exactly.
better.
It's a nice and shady street. I love that.
That's good. Okay, so this is Mike Stud,
Yeah.
premiering June 21st on Esquire.
Yes. Yes. I'm excited. I think I love the title a lot. We kind of went back and forth with the network a bunch, but This Is Mike Stud is cool because I think everyone's asking who's Mike Stud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's one of those scenarios where people are like, I don't get how this, how does this guy have a show? Like I'm not really a household name. But really, I think what the show will show is that it's not about that. You know what I mean? The career and what we're building is cool, but it's more about the elements, the dynamics of the relationships, all of the people and the cast that are really actually my true employees. TV show or not, these are my employees, and these are my best friends as well. So it creates an interesting little, it's a dichotomy, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, they're my employees, but they're also my homies. So,
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is what carries it, but the show, I'm super pumped about. I actually, this is coming from someone who was very worried. I was very worried about this move. I'm an independent artist, so we make our decisions.
Yeah.
And there's no one else like, hey, you got to do this. You know what I mean? So it was our decision, and I was skittish. But I'm happy now.
So did you approach them or did they approach you?
Oh, no, they approached us.
Okay.
Really, hats off to Den of Thieves production.
Yeah.
They're the ones that... We started these things on the internet called Touring's Boring. You got to check it out if you haven't. It's
Okay.
They're a little dated in the sense that, I was a little bit of a different person. We were in a different place in our career, but we made these things called Touring's Boring, and in the name you could hear the sarcasm. We were big Office fans, and we tried to implement some of that satirical undertone and sarcasm and poke fun at our situation a little bit. I'm not your typical rapper. This was not my plan. So we kind of were running with the joke a little bit as far as like, this is kind of wild, and this is kind of stupid.
That's cool.
So it turned, what happened was that it took ahead of its own a little bit. Like, you didn't have to be a fan of mine, but you'd go check out Touring's Boring, maybe, of my music, but you might like Touring's Boring. So what happened was those got kind of big in a small scheme, but in a small world. Like, it wasn't huge, but they took on, they kind of were amassing their own numbers, those YouTube links with all those Touring's Borings. And I think that's what caught the production group's eyes. They caught Den of Thieves, kind of like stumbled upon those and contacted us. But long story short, it's been a battle. We shot the pilot 2 years ago.
Oh,
over
wow.
2 years ago. So we didn't. People loved the pilot. I was single then. I was different. I matured a lot since. But it was one of those things where I felt like if we took those deals and did that show with MTV or VH1, my music career would be dead.
Okay.
Because it is, even if it was a hit, it would have been Jersey Shore. I just felt like no shade of Jersey Shore. I was a fan, but it was just.
But they're nowhere now.
Right.
So
that's my point. This whole thing for me as a business move, just me individually, was something to supplement what we're doing, not to tear it down.
Okay.
And not to at least make us reality TV stars and not supplement what I've been doing for 5 years, which is try to create my own, music brand. And the music is one thing, but I really care about what the brand and the imagery.
Yeah.
And this fits into it, man. Like, I'm really excited. I didn't think I would be here mentally about the show, but I'm very excited.
So that being said, because you have this brand, and reality cameras can be sort of abrasive and stuff.
Yeah.
Or abrasive. I don't know what I said. Are you afraid at all to show your like, relationship with your girlfriend? You said you have a girlfriend now, or your relationship with your family on there?
No. I'm like, when I talk about being an independent artist, I think the key to that is transparency.
Okay.
It's what makes people believe in you when it's not forced down their throat by radio or commercial or being on, the VMAs or any of those things. I don't have any of those luxuries. But the people that do follow us really care because they feel like they know us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the only way you create a following like I've created, albeit not massive. It's fucking tuned in.
Yeah, that's
people
cool.
Tune the fuck into what we're doing. And I think that's what's gotten us here. You know what I mean? The fans are a huge part.
Yeah.
No bullshit, all the politics aside, without the fan base that we have and that we've created online, I don't think we would have got to this point.
So you show a little bit of the making of the album.
Tiny bit.
And then it's mainly just you on tour? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And again, like, you don't have to be a fan of even music, really.
Yeah.
Like, there's elements of music, sure, they're going to show pieces of the live show, but it's like, it is not what you're expecting as far. It's really kind of, it's carried by that, like I talked about, it's carried by the cast, it's carried by the dynamics of the relationships, and it's also carried by the comedy that ensues on a hip-hop tour, the way we do it. It's very, we're right in there, man. We're in there with the fans, and there's a lot of funny situations that arise in these types of things, in those circumstances.
So what is this noise you make? Tell the story behind that.
Well, one of the cast members is my best friend of 22 years. I'm 27. I've known him, since I was 5 years old. I moved next to him. So, I would come back from, I played baseball at Duke, and I'd come back in the summer, and I'd have like 2 or 3 weeks before I went to go play summer baseball, usually in the Cape, where I played in Massachusetts. But we would use those 2-3 weeks as like fucking spring break.
I feel like baseball in college, the baseball players got more ass than anybody.
Yeah, you're damn right.
Yeah, okay.
No, girls like baseball guys. I don't think it's really the sport. It's just like the vibe of the dudes. You know what I mean? But Blue wasn't a baseball player, but we were best friends, and I'd come back and we'd have 2 weeks to fucking tee it up before I went and played baseball the whole summer. So we'd bring girls back to his pad was like kind of his basement was like where you bring the girls, the randos, you know what I mean? And sure enough, he was hooking up with some girl in his room, and I was in the living room like with another girl, and that noise kept fucking, it was like repetitive for like 30 minutes, to the point where even the girl I was hooking up was like, is this real life? Like, so it was I think, I don't even know the girl, like it was a random girl, it was a one night thing, but it caught on for us. Like you should give her a cut. Yeah, exactly. The next morning we were joking about it, and it became one of those things where we just do it while we were drinking, partying, and then when I made music, I didn't make music until 3 years later. Yeah. But it was already such a big part of my party lifestyle. If we were drinking, we'd be like, you know what I mean? So once I made music, it made perfect sense to kind of use that in my songs, and I use it as an adlib for the non-music people. It's just like adlibs are just like, as a hip hop artist, you make like little sounds or noises in between your rap cadences that you try to make your own. Yeah. But really, it's more so just like, it became kind of more of like, it's bigger than an ad-lib in our world. Like, it's all, if you go to a show and you don't know who we are, you're not that in tune to the brand, you got to be confused. Because all the kids are like, I have people at the venues, like, they'll come up to me, they'll be like, what the fuck is this noise all the kids are making? Because like everyone in the VIP line, everyone who's coming in while like they're waiting for the show, they're just, like yelling it all over the place. So it's took on a life of its own, but it's one of those things that's organic. I try to do like all things from my life and just use it in the music, and I think people can tell when something's like real. That's cool. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So I know you started seriously doing music in college. Before that, had it ever been a thing?
No. I'm talking nothing.
Nothing?
Like, no, I didn't sing. I didn't take instrument lessons or no background at all. So that's why this whole thing is weird. You know what I mean? The whole thing.
Because you never saw it coming.
Yeah, it was like for me, I'm just as surprised as the next guy that this is happening. I mean, I credit a lot to the work ethic. Like I've really asserted myself to be a better musician and really learn the craft. And I think there's like, I can learn as much at the pace I'm learning for the rest of my life and still be less of a musician than some others, as far as musicality goes. But I really am very proud of like just our growth and my growth, in the music world as far as just understanding and like creating the things I want to create. There's this thing, the Ira Glass, it's called The Gap. Anyone at home listening, you should check it out if you're creative, because I think it really embodies like my career path. I think the concept is, you can create art for a long time, and the great artists realize and acknowledge that what they're making at the time isn't what they want to be making, but it's a part of the step to getting to the point where they want to make what they're supposed to be making. And I feel like after 5 years, I'm finally, I don't think I'm arrived, and I don't know if I ever will. I hope I do, but I feel like I'm closing the gap on the gap.
That's cool.
You know what I mean?
At what point, because I know the first record you put out was kind of just for laughs,
Mm-hmm.
at what point did it become like, no, I'm going to seriously do this for my career?
Yeah, well, it started very unorthodox way. I was just putting out these, like, when I could.
Yeah.
I was a student at Georgetown at the time, because I graduated Duke on time.
Yeah.
And it was really right when I made this one song that kind of had some buzz. So I thought it was funny and cool, and I was, like, soaking it in, but I didn't think it was going to last. I'd say I made 4 or 5 songs and videos and put them out, and it just kept kind of amassing a bit more of a following. I'd say when I made that first mixtape called Toasted Tommy, it was when I was like wrapping that mixtape up, I was like, I'm really trying. I thought this was like a real step into the like world of like I'm gonna try to make this a thing. You know what I mean? And it really wasn't like I can't put my finger on one day where I was like, this is the day I was, gonna be an artist. It just kind of happened, and it's really, I would say like if you're gonna ballpark it, I'd say about 2.5, 3 years ago when I started like really touring and meeting people that were like, yo, your lyrics, like you meet people on the road and you realize the impact that you've made, and it's wild, and it makes it more serious for you as the artist, because you realize that people are listening. You can actually impact real like human beings, you know what I mean? And that's a different experience, especially someone who played sports. Like you could be cool and the big man on campus, but you're not like changing people's lives. So I think that's the beauty of like art and creativity.
Cool. So I know you touched on this a little bit earlier, but you are an independent artist. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about sort of what goes into that, because I know that means you're involved in everything. Yeah. And then do you have future plans? Do you want to get signed to a major label, or is that you're kind of doing it on your own? You don't even want that?
Yeah, I think the show does a great job of I think that's what's interesting about this show right now, is that you're following an artist who has a lot of decisions to make and a lot of big decisions on the horizon. And we talk openly about the pros and cons to each. I'm not naive to what a label can do by any means. And then really, there's just certain things that requirements on my end that needs to be met on their side for us to engage in a full record deal. We make decisions all day. Yeah. And I have a group of guys that like I bounce all my decision making off. And you'll see that a lot in the show too. But I think that's kind of the mystique of of why people want to watch. You know what I mean? Like, are we gonna do a record deal this season? Is that part of the plan? I can't say exactly, but at the same time, I know we're very like self-aware. I think we're very aware that yes, there are pros and cons to each. I just know what the public doesn't. I know there's tons of caution to be had. Okay. People think at home like, why wouldn't you do a record deal? That's how you make it. You know what I mean? And like, I know for a fact that it's not how you make it. I mean, it's part of it, but there's also tons of caution to be had when you make those deals, because you can get shelved. Oh, for sure. You can make a project that you think this is the best fucking thing I've ever made. And if the guy A&R'ing your project or just the label in general doesn't agree, that shit's going on a shelf somewhere and no one's going to hear it. So I'm kind of a tricky artist to understand from a label. I'm not really your your typical rapper by any means, or even typical artist. So I understand that, and I don't really blame them for not understanding it completely, but I'm not going to make rash decisions because I think chasing fame and notoriety is how you lose here. You know, if you continue to create what you want to create and people can tell that it's real and organic, I think that's how you create real fans and you create real touring and you create real business so you can continue. Because you can have hits, like there's people with hit songs that we tour double the size that they tour. Really, truly. We tour, that's part of why we got this show too, because our touring is bananas. Because the kids want to come be a part of it, man. They want to come see the show. They want to come meet us. They know that we're good people and like we want to meet them too. And it creates this vibe where it's all like this family where people want to come have a good fucking night when we come to their town. And it's really helped escalate who we are as like, who I am as an artist, but helped escalate our brand and appeal.
Is there one artist who you look at and you think I'd like to emulate their career?
Career?
Yeah.
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z, okay.
Yeah. Or Marky Mark. But I just, you know, I was a business major. I went to Georgetown, like business too. So I love the business side, and I think maybe selfishly that's part of why I'm still independent.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You get to run it all.
I like having the reins, you know what I mean, or us having the reins at least, and that's important. But yeah, man, like I can't take credit for it. It's kind of how it's played out.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's not like this is how I drew it up and this how, you know, it's kind of how it's played out, but really it is pretty interesting for me to sit where I am now and be like, wow, I'm really happy we didn't make some of those decisions we're gonna make.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Has your songwriting process changed at all since the beginning?
Yeah, tons.
What's changed in that?
This whole project, most of the stuff on this project is all feeling stuff.
Okay.
It's I used to be very much so a writer who approached a song like an assignment.
Okay.
I was a good student. I was a good writer. So I that was my natural like inclination, was to get on and, you know, what's the song about? What's the topic? Okay. And then I write the lyrics piece by piece. And I felt like my music, if I listen back, it lacks feeling. It lacks like the vibe. And you can't explain that. You can't put it into words. I'm trying to right now, but it's what the viewer, like the listener, has a subconscious like, I like this song, and they might not be able to understand or identify exactly why. But I felt like my songs were well written, but they didn't have the right feeling. And that's what been a huge part of what I do now. Like these days is the project name as well. It's not the single. It's the project name. And for me, it was putting all of these days on wax, meaning like everything that's happening right now in my life. That's what I write all my music, so that's what I'm gonna write about. You know what I mean? And now it's always been something I do pretty well, is write about what's happening. But I also wanted the musicality to feel that way too.
Yeah.
Feel like right now. Feel like when I'm talking about you know what I mean? Like a lot of it feels kind of celebratory because we are happy. We're celebrating what's going on right now. And I think focusing on not only the writing, but the general vibe of the project and the music to feel synonymous to what's going on in our lives, I feel like that enables the listener to really buy in and be like, yo, I believe this shit. Like, I believe what he's saying. And I think we're doing really well at that. And that's the process of songwriting, to answer your question, has changed a ton. Most of the stuff is freestyle now.
Oh, really?
It's at least, feeling wise, isn't just lyric and musicality, meaning the instruments chosen. It's also like when you get on a microphone and you use your voice as an instrument, what does it feel like? I could be saying gibberish. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of times I'll go on and just mumble or hum melodies. And all those freestyle melodies are ones that, you know, I'll take the melodies and then write to the melodies. Okay. So I'm still getting to songwrite. I still get to write and pen the things I want to pen. But the feeling is better because I went in there with nothing in my mind besides matching the musicality and like the vibe. So I feel like it sounds like I got it all figured out, but it's something I'm in the middle of, like, you know, I'm constantly evolving. You know what I mean? But I feel like this has been an awesome phase of evolving my songwriting process and bettering it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So are you already working on the next project?
Always.
Always? Okay.
Always working. I wouldn't say the next project is very slightly under the works. You know what I mean? But the way I rock is like, you know, when we have downtime, I'll just make songs to put out. So my viral buzz maintains or grows, versus like, I don't have the luxury of like, hey, I'm going to make an album in a year and you'll hear a song on the radio in a year that's a hit. I don't know if that's going to happen. So I have to maintain the viral campaign almost more so than anything else.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
So show premieres June 21st on Esquire. What else do you got going on for the rest of the year?
I'm pumped, man. Well, the show is an anchor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the show, I think it's just a different time in our lives. I didn't think we would ever really be here. So, we're gonna, the decision making as far as like doing a record deal or, making any major moves as far as what's like something that would really change the way we operate our operation is, it's all based on like what happens on this show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what's gonna happen? What is it? What's the results from this show? Like what happens?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if my fan base as is just simply doubles, from this show and nothing else, it's a huge win for us because like I said, our touring is how I live. It's how we grow. It's how we rock. So I'm just hoping I'm gonna sit back this summer. We have a song going to radio called These Days, which is the single.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be happening on the radio. I'm gonna be putting music out virally, and we're gonna be on TV. So the way I look at it is like this is my first opportunity to take the industry over by fucking land, sea, and,
that's cool.
and air. You know what I mean? We're on all three platforms, and we're gonna try to make a pass at it. But in that same breath, we don't hang on to anything as our savior. Like I just want to keep the ship afloat. You know what I mean? Keep growing. You know what I mean? And keep touring, keep going crazy. You know what I mean? And that's really there's no stop in sight. No matter what happens to the show, there's no matter what. Like I just don't think nothing will happen to where like it stops how we operate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do think there might be some bigger decisions to make afterwards, but I'm gonna enjoy this summer and see where it all takes us. But I'm so proud of the show. I know we're here to promote the show, but like it's seamless for me. I'm like actually I was at the bar fucking 20 minutes ago and promoting the show to a guy who literally trying to just chopping it up with us for a minute. But like really that's how I feel about the show. I think it's a very fair representation as who we are as people, and I'm proud of that. So we really don't have anything to hide. I think I know what everyone thinks. You know what I mean? I know what everyone thinks this show's going to be like, and I'm not naive to that. I just ask those people who are going to snicker and be like, oh, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? I just ask you, please, to go just non-biasedly check out an episode.
Yeah.
And I think you'll understand and realize very quickly that the tone isn't what you thought it was going to be. And there's a lot more layers to it than you thought as well. So, you can't force people to watch anything, but I hope, like the aim of this show is to reach people that really don't know who I am and don't care for it. Yeah. To open their eyes to like really all the work that we're putting in. You know what I mean? It is informative. It shows what we're doing, but it could be mindless too. You could watch it and you're gonna get 10 laughs out of it. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna get a bunch. It's funny. And these guys, the cast that I have, I'm blessed because I don't think this show happens without this group of friends that I have. That's cool. It's a funny group of guys.
So how many episodes?
8.
8 episodes.
They're long too. They're like an hour episode each. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like as I'm watching, I'm like, geez, it's fucking. You know what I mean? It's like I don't. It almost feels weirdly like this. They agreed. We had tentative schedules and tentative thoughts like, hey, these will be hour episodes. But as I watch the season now and I'm working on it, it almost fits perfect. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what else we would have done when we got to the finale. I'm like, this is perfect for that first season. You know what I mean? So it really did play out. It makes it feel like it's meant to be. That's how I live life. That's cool. I feel like everything is. My story has taught me that, but really like just the mantra that we live by is that everything, like it sounds cheesy, but I just feel like no matter what happens, whether it's awful or awesome, it's meant to happen. And you have to, when it is awful, you have to understand that it's life giving you an opportunity to make something better out of it. And like it sounds fake, but that's really how, that's really how we live. Like, that's really how I live my life every day. And all my guys are the same way. So I think that's why we got here. You know what I mean? Just is understanding that, there's peaks and valleys, but if you could stay to the task at hand and stay focused on, especially with a positive mindset. You know what I mean? I just feel like so many people in entertainment are so caught up in the hoopla and like comparing yourself to the next guy. You know what I mean? If I did that, I'd be done by now. Because people who do record deals, I'm like, why, you know, like, I want to be on that commercial. I want to be performing there. I want to be on Jimmy Kimmel, you know, but I feel like it's just not meant to be at this time. Like, there's no other way of looking at it besides it's not meant to be right now. So I'm hoping this will change things, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. I just know that I feel like we're in the right place right now, doing the right things.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, good luck on everything.
Thank you, man.
You want to go ahead and plug all your socials?
Yeah. Twitter and Instagram is Mike_Stud. Those are I'm very active on, so holler at me on there. And then Snapchat is Mike Stud Homie, all one word, MikeStudHomie. And then Facebook is /Mike Stud Music. And my new website, I'm plugging it before it even exists, so don't get mad at me. It's www.mikestud.com. That's going to be our site when the show launches.
Okay.
We also have thisismikestud.com, I believe, or something. So I don't even know if I'm giving the wrong information.
Just like Google Mike Stud.
Yeah, I'm all over the fucking internet, man. Just Google me, you can find me. But that's my home. That's where I live, on the internet. So holler at me.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again.
Thanks again, man.
If you guys want more from AfterBuzz TV, you can find us everywhere at AfterBuzz TV, and we'll see you back in here next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.